Did you know that Charlie Kirk believed in intelligent design? He believed life and the universe couldn't be the result of random chance, that they reflect the work of a designer. And he was willing to defend that belief at the highest levels, like on Bill Maher's show and at Oxford University in the UK. Now, how Charlie does this teaches us how to defend our faith against today's most powerful ideas, that human life came from animals, that there's no God, no moral order, that we're just the result of time and chance acting on matter. Now, I'm going to show you two clips of Charlie Kirk, first on Bill Maher, then at Oxford Union. Watch for the two things that Charlie does that can help us all.
Let's just take the resurrection, though. Why would the apostles willingly go and spread what then became their death certificate? Why would they go and do that if it didn't actually happen? Like, take Paul. We both agree Paul was legit and a real person. Paul was a Jew, persecuted Jews, and then had his, road to Damascus moment. Why would he do that? Except for the fact that he's crazy or delusional. What incentive would Paul have to do that? Rich, ruling class, gave up everything.
You're saying to me, is there never a case of human delusion or mass delusion? The human capacity to believe what's not true, to believe what you want to believe, is infinite. I mean, you are literally the person I'm talking about at the very beginning of the movie Religulous. The movie is me saying, I don't know how it could be that so many intelligent people can wall off a part of their mind and believe in something that part of their mind must know is not true. And you're obviously a super smart guy.
Well, and respectfully, you go ahead, sure.
And I don't want to insult you on that. I appreciate you saying that.
No, I mean, Bill, have you seen me go to college campuses? There's nothing that can fit.
Right, but you understand my question,
and
right?
Interestingly, ironically, I have the same struggle. I don't know how somebody as intelligent as you, and I'm not trying to offend you,
cannot believe in a virgin birth?
Time out, hold on. All of that takes faith, I acknowledge, but that all of the fine-tuning of our universe, if any of those fine-tunings were off, a famous scientist...
Some of them are off.
A famous scientist said, to believe that the universe and the earth in its current composition was an act of randomness would believe that a hurricane would go through a junkyard and assemble a 737 flight-ready Boeing.
He's wrong.
Okay, that's fine, but there are so many fine-tuning aspects to our existence that I think defy the idea that this is all randomness and all chance. Now,
that's not logical. You're saying because I don't know the answer, I'm going to assume the answer must be that a divine intervention did it. That's not really a scientific way of looking at it.
The teleological view, not the cosmological view, is that all of these fine-tunings, when layered up one after the other, it defies, I think, reason to think that this is just a roll of the dice. That when you see a baby come into the world, when you see how we naturally heal, even consciousness itself, I think, is a pretty miraculous thing. To think that's all just a bunch of happy accidents, I think it's more rational to think that that's a byproduct of design.
You've spoken a little bit about your belief in the sanctity of life and the inviolable dignity of the human person. I take it that you accept evolution.
It depends what you mean by that.
Do you think we've evolved from primates?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I do believe in the biblical account of creation. I also acknowledge that there is an abundance of scientific research that shows adaptation. Species change is heavily inferred in the data. I don't know enough about it, but I believe the scriptures to be true. And you can be a theist and also believe in God-ushered evolution.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And so, of which I allow people much smarter than me to make determinations on that. It's completely irrelevant to my core theology.
Okay, so you're kind of not vaguely, but you seem generally happy with the idea that maybe evolution is true. I hope that that's the case.
I don't believe that.
Willing to accept that based on the evidence, evolution is a fact.
No, I'm not saying it's a fact. Again, I say I'm open to have my mind moved, and I look at the data, but I believe, given the abundance of equal data that atheists must reckon with, that there is a fine-tuning problem to our existence that I believe warrants that there is a God, intelligent life came from a God, and I believe the scriptures to be true. That in the creation account, there is an allowance to say that God created the heavens and the earth and allowed us to either evolve through species. I happen to believe, through a faith claim, that human beings are designed. What that means is designed over a long period of time or designed immediately. That's for people smarter than me to determine.
Notice anything in common? Both questioners are trying to shame him. They're trying to make him believe there's something wrong with him for thinking what he does. Bill Maher tells Charlie he's, quote, walled off part of his mind that doesn't believe in Christianity. In other words, that Charlie is in denial. Maher claims that the Apostle Paul was delusional, which means Charlie must be too, not to mention us. Now that's shame. Guilt is about something you've done, like stealing. Shame is about what you are, a thief. Now, Maher isn't just saying that Charlie's beliefs are wrong. He's saying there's something wrong with Charlie for believing them. And at Oxford, the young woman says, I take it that you believe in evolution, and I hope that's the case. Why does she hope that? The implication is clear. If it's not the case, she'll lose respect for him. She's saying people who don't believe evolution are less worthy of respect. This is emotional manipulation. It suggests that if you lack belief in evolution, something's wrong with you. Now, I've said before that evolution isn't a theory, it's a theology. It's how its believers see the world. They believe they're right, and if you don't believe it, you're wrong, and there's something wrong with you. But watch what Charlie does. He doesn't take the bait. He's unfazed by both attempts to shame him. He doesn't get upset, doesn't throw insults back, doesn't concede, or even worry what they think. Now, this takes moral courage. We all want to be liked, to be seen as okay by the tribe. Scripture calls this the fear of man, worrying what people would think if they knew what we really believed. Shame controls people through feelings, but Charlie doesn't respond emotionally. Instead, he uses two tools, reason and faith. First, reason. Charlie recognizes that both Bill Maher and the Oxford student come from a materialist worldview, the idea that matter is all there is. So he responds with the most compelling scientific argument, fine-tuning. The fine-tuning argument says the mathematical and physical constants of the universe, like gravity, the cosmological constant, the strong nuclear force, and more, are all precisely tuned to allow for life. Charlie references scientist Sir Fred Hoyle, who said the following about evolution, quote, the chance that higher life forms might have emerged this way is comparable with the chance that a tornado sweeping through a junkyard might assemble a Boeing 747. End quote. Other scientists agree, like Paul Davies, a physicist and cosmologist, and Roger Penrose, a Nobel laureate in mathematical physics, who said in 1989, quote, this tells us how precise the Creator's aim must have been, to an accuracy of 1 part in 10 to the power of 10 to the 123rd. This is extraordinary. You couldn't even write the number down in full. End quote. So for atheist materialists who claim to believe in science, these quotes from their own experts are powerful tools. And because atheists have no response to their own experts disagreeing with them, all they can say is what Bill Maher says.
He's wrong.
Think about that. An untrained comedian holding a marijuana cigarette thinks he knows better than Sir Fred Hoyle and Roger Penrose. But here's what made Charlie so effective. He didn't just stand on reason. He always brought it home to faith. He acknowledged that all the scientific arguments in the world aren't enough to teach you about God. They can walk you to the door. They can lead you to conclude that only a creator can explain these phenomena. But you still have to accept that conclusion. You can lead a horse to water, but it still has to drink. Reason only gets you so far. The last step is always faith. Now, this isn't easy. It makes us vulnerable to the same emotional manipulation we see in these clips, because faith says, I believe because I believe, and we have to accept that that won't be enough for some people. And on some level, we won't be enough, and that's the real question. Who are we getting our sense of self-worth from? Men or God? Evolution can't answer that. If humans evolved from primates through random chance, then none of us have any worth. We're just smart animals. But some of us aren't smart. Are they not worthy? The Russian communists, Chinese communists, and German National Socialists thought so. Their evolutionary worldviews led to mass death. If only smart, tall, blonde, or strong people have worth, then everyone else is expendable. Now today we get a different version. Our worth as humans is socially constructed, meaning our worth comes from those around us. Fitting in with the dominant view makes us worthy. Disagreeing makes us worthless. Both Bill Maher and that young woman believe this, perhaps without knowing it. And they're trying to get Charlie to believe it too, but Charlie knows what they don't. Our worth isn't socially constructed or evolutionarily derived. It comes from being made in the image of God, which is talked about in the same 6-day creation account found in Genesis 1, and that like the divinely designed pattern of reality, fine-tuned constants and all, that can never be taken from us. So Charlie doesn't bow to shame or manipulation. He stands firm on God's truth, on Scripture, and on his faith, no matter what or who he faces. So the next time someone tries to shame you for your beliefs, remember Charlie Kirk. Don't take the bait. Use reason when you can. Stand on faith no matter what. And remember, your worth comes from God, not from fitting in with the crowd. Rest in peace, Charlie. Thank you.